Pope Francis has changed the teachings of the Catholic Church to officially oppose the death penalty. The Vatican says that it changed its position to reflect Pope Francis's total opposition to what he calls an attack on inherent dignity of all people. The pontiff has spoken out against executions and capital punishment in the past. Previously, the Church's teachings allowed the death penalty in rare cases. But now the Roman Catholic Church has declared the punishment inadmissible in all circumstances. Candida Moss is the Cadbury professor of theology at the University of Birmingham. She joins me now from London. Candida, this is a significant change to the Catholic Church, but why institute this teaching now?
Well, the Catholic Church has been inching towards this new position for a while. So previously, the Church believed that the death penalty was really only permissible in situations where society could not be protected by those people who had committed crimes. Now what the Church is saying is that there's really no situation in this 21st century world where that is the case. The question is, why is Francis announcing this today? After all, he signed off on this new language for the Catechism back in May. And cynics might say it's because recent weeks have seen a flurry of negative publicity towards the Church because of its sex abuse crises.
So is this sort of a deflection to get people to stop talking about it? We know that, the catechism that was first set by Pope John Paul II, he said the death penalty was appropriate. It was an appropriate response to the gravity of certain crimes. But Pope Francis is saying it's completely inadmissible. Do you think this is going to be a shakeup to church politics?
Well, certainly when it comes to politics, this is going to be very challenging, especially to American Catholics, because in the past, American Catholics have sided with the Republican Party, which has taken a fairly hardline position when it has come to the death penalty. And so for those Catholics who are pro-life, they are now being challenged by Pope Francis to be pro-life in all ways, not just by opposing abortion, but also by advocating for those who are on death row. And one of the things that Francis has said in the Catechism is that he expects to see the Church actively working to eliminate the death penalty.
Candida, I also want to ask you about the alleged sexual abuse in the 6th Catholic diocese in Pennsylvania. The state is investigating this. What do you think we're going to expect, and what do you think might ultimately come out of this?
Well, what we'd really like to see would be to see other dioceses, especially those that have not been under the kind of close scrutiny that the Harrisburg diocese has been under. We'd like to see them release similar lists of names, and we'd like to see some follow-up. So there's been a breach of trust between the Church's hierarchy and the laity, and if the Church really wants to repair that trust, it needs to act proactively and preemptively by perhaps even suggesting that the statute of limitations on so many of these cases be lifted.
Do you think that there's enough movement to get the statute of limitations lifted?
Well, the sort of effort to have that happen has really come from secular organizations and victims advocacy groups. From within the Church, there's been understandable resistance, and there has been language of what would happen if the Church was bankrupted, if the statutes of limitations were actually lifted.
That's an interesting point that they're making. Candida Moss, thank you very much.
Thank you.